In this video, I'm going to be giving you some very important information on how to relieve piriformis pain. If that's something that you're experiencing on a regular basis, especially if you're experiencing it standing and walking, I'm going to give some very important tips that have helped me personally. Before finding long-term permanent relief, I have lived with piriformis syndrome for many years. It took me so long to get to the point where I am today. So my hope for these videos is to get you some practical tips and also help you avoid some of the mistakes I made that just kept me stuck in pain for so many years. A good starting point for you is to download the free sample plan that I have created with some great corrective exercises and some additional tips specific for piriformis syndrome relief. So the link to the PDF is below this video. So I have made several videos before on piriformis pain relief sitting, and I will link to those videos again below. I just don't want to be repeating myself a lot in every video, but for this specific video, I want to address pain experienced when you're standing or walking, especially if you're going for a walk. A lot of people with piriformis pain, they're scared to go for walks or they just stop going for walks. So now I also experienced that because I love going for walks, but it was always a struggle to be able to just walk without, getting that feeling, that burning sensation either in the middle of it or at the end. So I have some very important tips in this video that will help you enjoy your walks or stand and walk more and just kind of let the piriformis relax a little more while you do that. Okay, the very first thing to know is that your core and your glutes, they work to stabilize your pelvis and your lumbar spine. When there's any weakness in this area, then certain small stabilizer muscles, including the piriformis, they start to kick in to pick up the slack. And that leads to overactivity. And an overworked and overactive piriformis is going to spasm and it's going to tighten up. So this is kind of the first thing to have in the back of your mind when dealing with this type of pain. So always look at the source of the cause of the problem. And yes, many times it's due to tightness in the lower back and other muscles. But from what I found personally is that the underlying weaknesses are usually kind of the source of the pain. And once we address those, then the piriformis can relax a little more. Another kind of indirect cause to the piriformis muscle just starting to act up is when the TFL, kicks in a little more. And TFL is a muscle on the corner of your hip. So when there is an overactivity of the hip flexors, including the TFL, which is part of the hip flexor group, then again, we have that tightness here, and the piriformis will try to combat that, stabilize the hip more, and we have that overactivity again. So it's just like a cycle. So when dealing with piriformis pain, you can see that sometimes and often more stretching, more release sometimes doesn't work, and it can backfire because we're dealing with these sort of things. So you're gonna keep lengthening and stretching the piriformis, but the underlying causes have not been addressed. So okay, you're gonna get short-term relief, but in the long term, it's just gonna keep happening. So when looking to relieve the pain from the piriformis, it's so important to look at all the other muscles around it to see which one is not doing its job properly, which one is maybe more tight, which one is more weak, maybe the glute med is weak. It's really important to do this work, and it doesn't have to take a long time. I have some great assessments inside the piriformis control program that will only take a few minutes, and you will literally see which muscles are acting up through these assessments. And there's also corrective exercise plans to help you address these imbalances. So that's the first part, is to, work on core and glute more, because it will always help, even if you're suspecting it, but you're not sure. I would highly suggest that you work on your glute and core more often, because there's only good things that can come from that in terms of stabilizing your pelvis and relieving performance in lower back pain. So I am a huge fan of strengthening exercises. Now, let's say you're already working on all those things and you do want to figure out how to kind of get that relief when you're going for walks, or if you have a standing job, you know, you have to stand for a while. So I have found that there's a really quick 3-step postural reset that I did in the past that would kind of help me relieve that pain. So whenever you're going for a walk, say maybe you're walking, but you know, we all do this. Sometimes you just kind of, your thoughts are, you know, you wander off with your thoughts. You're thinking about something, you know, you're thinking about what you're gonna make for dinner or work or other things, and you kind of lose focus, or you're not mindful of your posture. This quick 3-step posture reset will really help. So first thing first, just notice if you've got that anterior tilt as you're walking. So first thing you want to do is just pull those abs in, you know, to correct that anterior pelvic tilt. Also, when you pull just slightly, like don't suck in your abs, you just want to pull your lower abs in slightly and engage your core. That will help stabilize the lumbar spine and the pelvis as well. And just slightly tighten your glutes. So again, just pulling in those lower abs, tightening the glutes just a little bit. And then from here, you know, you want to bring those shoulder blades together, you know. This will lengthen your back and help strengthen your posture, and just tuck in your chin a little bit here so that you have a straight line from your head, your shoulders, and your hips. If you notice that, you know, you're getting into that anterior pelvic tilt while walking, maybe you're looking down, that can create instability and make that performance kick in. So by keeping those abdominals and deep core engaged, glutes tightly engaged, you know, good posture, you know, looking forward, chin tucked in slightly, this will activate your deep cervical flexors and also help stabilize the cervical spine. So just by staying in this posture, I noticed that that would relieve the tension. And remember, I have tried this while experiencing performance pain, so I know it helps. I do remember doing this, you know, when I would have really bad spasms after work, and I would have to park my car really far from where I lived, and just that distance, it was really challenging to walk without just that tightness in my hip. And I remember like trying this, and it really helped me go that distance, and I just felt more stable, and I could feel, you know, when walking, that there was no shooting pain anymore as I was stepping on that right foot. So I'm just sharing what's worked for me, and hopefully as you test it, it will work for you too. So again, you just want to bring those lower abs in. You don't want to be rounding your lower back either. So you just want to bring those lower abs in to lengthen your back and correct an anterior pelvic tilt if you have one. So bringing those lower abs in, just really slight tightness here and here. Shoulders back, lengthening the back, and then bring your chin in. So just making sure that your posture is nice and straight and looking forward. Because the moment you're looking down, you know, you're going to start rounding your back, losing that stability again. If you're walking, you're going for a walk, and then, you know, there's that tightness on the side of the hip. You're feeling it more on this side, but not quite in the performance. That could indicate some TFL tightness. So make sure to take a break. So try this TFL stretch that you can do standing quickly to release tightness in the TFL and help kind of minimize overactivity. All right, so I'm going to show you my favorite TFL stretch. So let's just say I want to stretch out the right side. So we're going to start by externally rotating that right foot. And then from here, you're going to step forward with the other side. You want to engage the glute and the quad of that same side that you want to stretch. So contract the glute, contract the quad, put your hands on your hips, start to lean forward as you bend the front leg, and then rotate your pelvis back. So we're gonna do just a small posterior pelvic tilt. And also you can slightly adduct the back leg in just a little bit. and then just shifting forward here. You want to hold this stretch for 20 to 30 seconds. Tightness in the TFL will cause the Piriformis to kick in again. So as long as we are minimizing some of that tightness, then we can help relieve Piriformis pain. And remember again that we're doing all of this, we're not even working directly on the Piriformis, because my goal has been to fix the root cause of the pain. And I noticed from experience again that when I'm working around the muscle, that the Piriformis relaxes naturally. If you love hiking and going for longer walks, that's something that I've been doing more and more recently. So a few things that to keep in mind for you to avoid triggering pain or flare-ups. So say you're making progress, you're not in pain anymore or not every day, and you want to resume your activity, you want to be more active. So what I notice is that when I'm hiking and it's just an uneven terrain, or if there's lots of ups and downs, you always want to lead with the glutes. So as you're walking, say there's an incline, make sure that your glutes are engaged and you're actually like using them and squeezing them as you're walking. And also make sure that your feet are straight as you do so. Always make sure the core is braced. So we don't want to be tightening the core too much because you're just gonna get tired after a while. But having that brace on, so again, just imagining that you're getting ready for a punch. So just a little bit of tightness there will help keep the lumbar supported and stable. Make sure that you're progressing slowly, so not going for a long walk or long hike. So, start with half an hour, build up to 40 minutes and do an hour and see how that goes. It's really important to progress slowly so that the muscle can grow in strength and you're not causing any flare-ups. Footwear is really important, so make sure that you're wearing shoes with proper support and also ankle support to avoid any injuries, because often when we are dealing with the pain, it's like the whole body is trying to avoid pain, so it's going to start to compensate in little ways. So you may notice your ankles or knees are not as, they don't feel as stable. So make sure that you have good footwear to avoid any injuries like twisting your ankles or even falling and hurting your ankle or foot. And one thing I really like to do in the beginning is I like to always find loops. So whether I'm going for walks or hikes, so always make sure it's a loop. So you're not, if a walk is going to be 1 hour, then you're back in 1 hour. You're not going there an hour and another hour back. So that can be a little too much too soon. So always make sure it's a loop, and gradually progressing through longer and longer walks or hikes. And of course, if you stand for a while or you go for a long walk, make sure when you come back to do releases on those hip flexors, because when we're walking, we're engaging more of the frontal hip muscles. And again, that can cause tightness in the hip flexors. The Piriformis can starts to act up. So make sure that you're using the foam roller, you're releasing the quads, you're releasing the TFL, and then just helping to restore balance. And hopefully the next day, you're not going to feel any soreness in the Piriformis. And make sure to note everything. Take note of everything. I used to do that in my healing journey. So I would just write down everything that's worked, everything that hasn't worked. If I had a good day, I would write down what I did. If I had a setback, I would write down what I did the day before or that day. It really helps you to see patterns over time, and it will help you avoid certain things that can be causing you flare-ups on an ongoing basis. So yeah, and when it comes to standing, again, just make sure to avoid that anterior pelvic tilt, because just standing like this for a long time, for example, I've had a client who was a hairdresser, so she would be standing for long hours. And many times you'll really focus on what you're doing, you're not really noticing your posture. So just make sure to check in with yourself once in a while to restore that posture and make sure your back is straight. You've got that stability in your pelvis and lower back, because that will pay off in terms of reducing Piriformis pain. You don't need to be overstretching the Piriformis. Sometimes the Piriformis is already weakened, it's not really strong enough, and we're just over lengthening it and causing more weakness with overstretching. So keep stretching to a minimum, focus on addressing the root cause of the pain, strengthen more, and focus on your posture throughout the day. So these are my very important tips for you. These are things that I've applied in my healing to heal from performance syndrome. And I know they might sound really simple, but just try them, stick to them, and I'm sure you're gonna notice a huge difference. So if you want to join me inside Performance Control, there's lots and lots of amazing information there, all about how to heal from performance syndrome for good. I also have assessments and corrective exercises and lots of tips from my own personal experience. I'm sure you're going to love this program. The link is here to sign up.